And we are live. Welcome, everyone. I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman from ConnectedForReal.com. And with me today is Lisa Marcus, and she is the expert on what to do and how to handle aging parents. And we're here to talk about the intersection between that and marriage, how that affects marriage when suddenly you have this responsibility, when all of your regular routine and life sort of changes with different needs. And sometimes when you're torn between your generation above and your generation below and your equal, your husband. So we're going to talk about all that today. But first, I'm going to let Lisa introduce herself, and then we could get right into the conversation. So take it away.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Bat-Chen, for hosting me tonight. Lovely to be here. So my name is Lisa Marcus. I originally hail from Sydney, Australia. I've been in Israel for coming up to 40 years, came for my year program and stayed. It's been a long year. I live with my family here in Ma'ale Adumim. And I had the big privilege of my parents actually following. They came on Aliyah. And it was very interesting when my mum said, we're coming on Aliyah. So I asked her, where will you live? Expecting her to say, oh, Yerushalayim, Netanya, with all the English speakers. And she goes, I'm going to come to Mitzpeh Navo, downtown Ma'ale Adumim, to you. And I thought, oh my goodness me. And it was very interesting, other people's reactions, etc. But I'm telling you, it was such a bracha. That was the best thing that happened. After dealing with families, other people's families, etc. Whether it's different cities, different countries, it's so much easier if they're close by, especially when things change. I don't have any magic potions, and things have changed. In the olden days, not people necessarily had grandparents, and people are living longer. So this is a whole new thing that we have so many generations. Baruch Hashem. Now, the grandmother of today is not the grandmother of Pam. And she's still working, busy with children. She could be a young grandmother, so she's got married kids, still got kids living at home. She's working, or looking for herself. She's looking for a second career, maybe, or she's Malkata Midbar, or the husband's off walking Shvil Yisrael. Or learning in college or whatever, and suddenly they've got the next generation, and my goodness me, I don't know what to do first, and not to forget yourself, and also don't forget the husband, the spouse as well, and it's like a juggling act.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we have to choose. We have to choose sometimes, and it doesn't have to be always the same thing. But as our parents get older, they do need our help more. And I'll quote you, Rav Benny Lau. When I went to, and he gave a shiur, he just finished his morning for his father. And he said, look at the pasuk in the Torah where it says, Lechabed et avicha ve'et imecha. Now, most people translate lechabed as to honor, to respect. He said, but have a look at the shoresh, the root of the word. What does it say? The shoresh is lechabed, ze kaved, and that means it's heavy. And yes, it is heavy. And it is one of the hardest mitzvot to do. So we can't take it lightly. So that's something for us to think about it, and not to deny, and to expect that. And sometimes we need guidance, we need support for it, which is also a new thing happening. I know here in Israel that they're very now getting into all of that, helping, just like the sandwich generation, and you're not quite sure what to do first. I
love how you say there's no magic potion, because none of us have magic potions, like if you come to work with me on your marriage, you're going to have to go through a process and a journey, and you're going to have to learn one step on the next step and then the next step. And you're going to be working a lot on your mindset and on yourself. And then from there, you're going to be able to affect other things. I believe that it's going to be like that also with your work. It's really having to deal with all that weight that maybe was piling up in the background from your childhood, or growing up or leaving your family, just to be faced with having to deal with your family. A lot of people who left, as like you were saying, left as young adults, and suddenly their parents are coming to them, and it's like it almost feels like a time warp where time never really passed. So I'm still this 19-year-old still trying to make my own decisions, right?
Yeah, well, even if you're a grown woman married with children or a young grandmother or whatever, you'll still always be that 18-year-old. So you know what? We just need to remember that. And that's why I say to people and to clients that bless our parents, they're not going to change. We can't change them. The only thing we can change is ourselves, our attitude towards them, that we have this big zchut, this big merit. No, it's not always easy, but let's make the best of it. And this is what I try in my workshops. I try teaching, giving tools to be creative, like to just step out of the box and don't, if there's something, a confrontation or whatever, let's try and handle things a bit differently. Once again, it's not easy, but it's a decision that is very helpful for everyone.
Of course. I remember in high school, one of our teachers said, I don't remember which rabbi it was, how do you become a gadol? How do you become one of the greatest rabbis? One choice at a time. And she said the power of a choice, just like right now in this moment, I choose to hold my tongue. I choose to say something differently. I choose to be more respectful. I choose to get up and do instead of wait for someone else. Whatever that thing is, the fact that you can overcome not wanting to do it or wanting to say something that was the wrong thing to say, and being able to make that choice, that's everything. So you're saying about choices with this, it's in everything in life. It's the most beautiful thing that we can really step up like that, just one choice at a time.
Absolutely. And it's up to us. And when I was learning this gerontology consulting, they were talking the importance of asking permission from our parents. Very often people speak about role reversal, etc. We have to be very careful that doesn't happen, and look, I can give just this personal example of how we speak to them as well. And it was time for my mum to go to the doctor had suggested that she goes to a hospice, and I said, oh my God, how am I going to say that? And sometimes we will say things quickly or whatever, but we have to reframe it, and how are we going to do that? I mean, I know that's an extreme case, but then I just say it quickly, and so then I went in there, and my brother, he was just amazing, came in from England whenever was needed. This crisis has to come in, and so I went in there. How am I going to say this? And I said I needed help from the above, and then he said, do you give me permission to go check this place out that they're talking about? And it was like part of her decision. But anyway, this is something I want to just say, that we need to rethink how, and it's very hard in the heat of everything. But
I think one of the things that's so important is like what we're doing now, we're sort of preparing. We're not in the heat of the moment, right. Unless one of you listeners is in the heat of the moment, please reach out and make sure you deal with this. But like, you can prepare yourself and then get rid of that decision fatigue, that stressful situation, and suddenly having to make a decision of how do I deal with this, when I know ahead of time that if I just ask for permission and I make them realize that they are in charge of their lives, even though they have no control over anything,
right,
they're still controlling, as much as we can make them feel controlling of their life.
Absolutely.
That's so beautiful. I love that. That is practical tip number one, you guys. I love that tip.
Okay. and you know, and a lot of things happens in crises, you know, and which we try to preempt. Like some things will happen anyway. Some things we can try preempting. That's one thing I wanted to say, that checking that our parents have got a full schedule of what's going on in their lives, etc. And that will help us with our family. If they're happy campers, we're happy campers. And people don't realize that I mean, I run this Moadon, this for seniors here in Male Adumim. We started with 8 people. It grew to 30 people. That's been running for 9 years because parents of the English speakers weren't coming to these activities. And it's very important that they're involved and they have full lives. Okay, we're not talking about Corona times. Everything's closed now, and that's a different situation. But we have to, and it's also in our benefit that they are busy and having fulfilling lives as well, because very often they'll start with, they might be bored and they make up the phone calls, and there's phone calls, and also you're eating dinner, and that's a different topic. I'm jumping, but anyway, about knowing when to answer the phone, not answering phone, or how to, is it an emergency, is it not an emergency, you know, setting your boundaries.
Right. And those are things, again, that you can prepare for, you know, discuss ahead of time. If something's an emergency, call twice. Or if something's an emergency, call the house phone or something. Like there's, you know, some sort of way for us to know that it's important. I know with our, you know, my grandparents, thank God they live in Yerushalayim. And one of the things is that, you know, my grandmother will say, oh, I didn't want to bother you, so I didn't call. And so I really feel this, you know, it bothers me more when you say you don't want to bother me, because it makes it that I have to worry all the time if I should, you know, did I call you today? Did I not call today? Oh no, you know, what's going on? I'd rather you just call me.
Okay, so this is something that we have to try insisting. And it's very often the parents don't want to be a burden on the children, you see, right. But they need help. So we have to try to, please, I really want to help out, but let me know. Don't beat around the bush. But it's very hard for people to do that. And sometimes it's a generation that they talk, you know, around the bush. And you have to understand in between the lines what they really want to say.
Of course. And, you know, with my work, one of the main things is getting in touch with what you want, because us as women, we ourselves don't know what we want. And so it's hard for us to tell our husbands what we want because we don't really know. We're sort of hoping you would know and like you would figure it out for me. So it really is a lot of self-work. And that's why, by the way, you know, when I went to a preparation workshop that they had for parents who are, you know, children of parents who are getting older. And obviously I'm very young. I was going for my grandparents because I'm the grandchild generation, but the middle generation is not in Israel. So I do feel like I'm very present there. Hi, Rena, and hi, Judith. I'm so excited. Everyone is here. And hi, Nicole. I didn't forget. And my sister Lilach is here. So yay. Thank you for coming. So I went to this class and she said, I want you to just know that when you get older, you become an extreme of yourself. So if you were happy, you become super happy. If you were miserable, you become super miserable. If you were complaining, you will become super complaining. And so if you want to change something about your, you know, your personality, do it now. Work on yourself now and really like sort of solidify where you want to be going so that the trajectory isn't just random, like, oh, it just has to be this way because this is how I've always been. No, like you can change certain parts of yourself that you feel are not serving you. And then, you know, sort of continue going that direction. And you will become more and more of that just by letting it sort of like, you know, brew in you. So working on ourselves now is really important. And I highly recommend it.
Absolutely. But sometimes some people do become mellow. There's some mellow and get more emotional, and there's others definitely get worse. Definitely.
Well, I think, people mellow when they're, when they're relaxed to begin with. Like they just become an extreme of their chill personality.
Right.
Like they just.
Right. But another thing is like when I speak in the workshops and to clients about the polypharmacy, because very often our parents are on a lot of medication, and very often there's a crossover, and you can have a reaction to it, and suddenly if you see personality is changing, you've got to do something about it, and the children have to become advocates.
Of course, that's really important. That really is.
That's also important.
I think that having your hand on the pulse and knowing that it's important to notice any change. If suddenly you see something is completely different, overnight, that's a really big deal. Rebecca Rubinstein is here. She is cheering for us also. So thank you for coming.
Rebecca.
We have so many cheerleaders here. I'm so happy. Okay, so let's get into how this affects marriage, because, we know the basics of, dealing with our parents. I can say a lot about the effects of in-laws on the marriage. But how do you think that having to take care of parents who are getting older and all of the things that come with it, how does it affect the marriage?
Well, it does. It does. And and once again, it's up to us to see how to manage it. And everything's a different, depending on the situation. And I mentioned it to you earlier on, and we have to sometimes choose, and depending if it's emergent, how much it's taking over our lives, and going to doctor's appointments, and I mentioned you also about, God forbid, if they're in a hospital or someone needs to stay over. It doesn't always have to be you. There are hopefully other family members, and the importance of using children or not using, it's an awful word, for them to help out.
Allowing others to help. I think that, I had a client who said, I just realized now for the first time that I wasn't allowing anyone else to help. And so I was burning myself out, and I was a control freak.
Absolutely. It's so true. Also, I had someone in my workshop also recently, and she was just pulling her hair out. And I said, you are allowed to ask for help. And it was only once, and she finally sort of confided to the husband and to the children, and they were able to help, and they wanted to help. And in the past,
all the things, everything is so universal. Like being able to delegate is something that we have such a hard time doing. And Absolutely. Then again, it's so important. And not only for us to be able to delegate, but also for other people to feel like they're part of, because my client who had this issue, her brother said, you weren't fair to me. I didn't get to take care of them, and I wanted to. And so you suddenly get these resentments that shouldn't even, it wasn't even a thing. She wasn't even thinking about it, because at the time it really wasn't part of the thought.
Right. Well, and that's another thing with the siblings. You might have one in one country and others in a different one, different city, different country. And so then you maybe have to divide up the things, whether someone goes for the medical appointment, someone's helps out with the money situation, and the others are more of the emotional support, etc. So we try to divide it up.
And it doesn't have to be fair or equal. It just has to make everyone feel like they're giving what they can. That's the most important thing, is like sometimes we try to make it so, cut the cake exactly so everybody feels it's fair. No, it's not going to ever be fair. Somebody's going to be closer, and somebody's going to be richer, and somebody's going to be whatever it is. Just all have an honest conversation about what can we do about this and what can we give.
And also trying to get rid of all that baggage that we perhaps
Yes,
grew
we
up
were
with,
talking about
and
that.
this was the favorite one, and they thought they were the favorite one, the less favorite one, or
Yes. So
the
we were,
families get very complicated,
yes,
and we have
we
to try and get them to leave all the baggage behind. Let's all get on board and see how we can help out. Like I said,
yes,
it's not easy, but it can be done.
not easy at all. So first of all, my mother-in-law is here, so let's all just say hi to mommy because I'm so excited
Hello. I
she's
let
here.
you know, at one stage I had 2 mother-in-laws and 2 father-in-laws. You should know that. They were in England.
So thank God I have
Right.
the best mother-in-law, and she shows up and listens, so it gets very exciting. I want to talk about baggage because even in marriage, a lot of times what happens is that when you're young and you're getting married and the parents are very involved and trying to really control or get in the way, or just sort of having a certain effect on the marriage. So with time, you learn to become your own couple, and maybe you move away, and maybe you create your own unit and you grow up a little bit. But then when it suddenly hits you again and you have to face it, and you're still carrying all this weight of like, your parents, this and that to me, and why, for what? It's holding you, like, it's really carrying dead weight that is so from the past, so dead. Like, it really isn't serving anyone at this point, but it really affects the marriage because one of, let's say, the in-law, like the husband, if this is, your parents or whatever, it doesn't matter. The other spouse is going to be feeling resentful or upset or carrying this weight, and it's really unhealthy. And so really taking care of that, even if you just see that, wait, this is affecting our marriage, let's take care of it because for us it's important, because it's really a priority.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when we need to be honest and to talk and to discuss. This is really hard for me, and I do need your help, and it's not forever. Halavai they should live ad rim, but and this is sometimes going. And I there's a book I wanted to recommend, and it's Dr. Atwal Gawande, Being Mortal. I recommend it for everyone. When I was back in Australia, England, instead of getting chocolates or flowers, I'm giving out Being Mortal. And Dr. Atwal Gawande is of Indian descent. He's American, brilliant doctor. And anyway, and he speaks about the roller coaster, and it's up and down. Sometimes there's no problems, and suddenly, oh my God, it's gone. We're up and down. So something's not always this. It's not static. Actually, my favorite word is yatziv, stable. I like stable. Takin, well, it will never be as it used to be, but stable is good. Anyway, so Zell, so if you know a special occasion, or if you've got mikveh night, or you've got or there's a special birthday, or there's a basketball match that you've got to go to your child's basketball match, or there's a school play, or whatever, but someone that perhaps does need to be with your parent or whatever, then you need to get somebody. If, like I said earlier, at the beginning of the interview, that we need to choose. And once again, it doesn't have to be the same every time, but we have to know, like the Hebrew lefargen, and we have to open up. I know it's hard when you're in the heat of it all, etc., but we have to see and not forget what's important.
Right.
And
Something just reminded me of something. I have to give my sister credit for this genius idea that she had. And she made a video about this. She was showing a square of, paper. And she said, this is how you can have a well-rounded life. So one time you are running late, so you take the taxi. So you paid a little more money, so you cut from the money, but you really, made it on time. But then the next time you don't have time, so you cancel on your friend, so you take out like that corner and that corner and that corner. Every time cut a different corner, so that you're always cutting corners, but you're never cutting the same one. So
absolutely,
you're not flaking on your friend multiple times. You're not taking the taxi every single time, but you sort of learn to cut corners in a very strategic way so that you can become well-rounded. And I love that. It blew my mind because
it's brilliant. I must get it. It's brilliant. Absolutely.
the best video she has.
Absolutely. Look, you can, and look, sometimes there's no time for dinner because you've got to run. You've got to be with whatever with it. So give the kids pizza or hamburger. It's not the end of the world, and they will be very happy. It's really, you don't have to have the guilt, oh, I didn't cook a meal or whatever. But we have to choose. We have to.
Exactly. And if you do that every single day, then it starts getting a little bit, difficult, and it weighs on your kids, and it weighs on their health and whatever. But like, just keep cutting corners, just keep finding ways to make your life as well-rounded as possible by
Absolutely.
Not cutting the same corner more than once. Because, it's cute. She's like showing if you cut too much, you'll get a triangle. And that's not what
I like that. Very good. Very good.
So yes, my sister Lilach, Dr. Lilach Saperstein, yes, she has the video, and you are welcome to put the link in the comments, Lilach, because everybody wants to watch the video now.
Absolutely.
But it really reminded me when you were talking about finding ways to make everyone a priority and not making it all or nothing.
Exactly. Look, there's always going to be someone unhappy. We can't please everybody, and that's in life. So we can try, but we also have to find time for ourselves as well. Self-care.
Oh, please.
Swimming. I mean, now we can't go swimming, but exercise is so important. I mean, we have beautiful weather now. Who know it's winter? Just go out in that sunshine and go for a walk, and it's very important for our self-care as well. It's so important.
Some people feel bad about taking care of themselves especially when they're so needed. And it starts when you're a, young mother, and you think you have to be completely present with the baby. You're not allowed to take care of yourself. You're not allowed to even go take a shower. You're not allowed to do anything. And so you have this so hopefully by then you'll learn that, self-care is number one. But then we get to this age where suddenly we're taking care of someone, our parents, grandparents, whatever. And suddenly it becomes again, like, I can't even go to the bathroom. I have to stay with them the entire time. And it's so crucial that you take care of yourself, because you cannot take care of other people if you are not at your best. You have to
exactly. We discussed that in my workshop, and also about making time going away with your husband. It's so important, and if you can't, I remember one time my brother came in from England, to be with my late mum, and that we were able to go and have a little holiday. It is so important. And and if you not everyone has a sibling that's able or willing to do that, and sometimes we have to pay someone to be there for them, so
and that's what money is for,
exactly.
I don't want to waste the money. Well, what are you saving it for? This is the most important thing, just do what needs to be done. And last week we had a whole thing about money, but really money is from Hashem, and abundance comes when, in order to serve whatever our purpose is here. So if you need something, it's going to come, it's going to work out. You have to really just cling to Hashem.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yes. Anybody in the chat down at the bottom can ask a question now, and we will gladly answer your questions. My sister just put her link to the little video, so everybody's welcome to go see that after our show. What was I going to ask you? Oh, I wanted to say hi to my mother because she's also here.
Oh wow, mother and mother-in-law. Oh wow, your fan club.
I'm so cool. Like, really, you would think there's like a million viewers, but like half of them are, people who really love me. Okay, Serena says, you guys are great. Thanks. Got to run, do a webinar. Awesome. So she's working with professionals for seniors, people who are working with seniors. And I actually really love what she's doing. The types of tips that she gives about how to
memory. Yeah.
I use them. My kids use them. We're sitting around.
We all need them.
Oh, they're so much fun. Take your phone number and add it up. So my daughter is going 054. 5 + 4 is 9.
No, God, I don't know what I'll be like. I have to I'm gonna remember my number.
It's genius. She gives you so many good ideas for games and things that you can do in your head that encourage that, elasticity in your brain. It's just really amazing. Memory improvement courses. Yes. Yes, that's what you do. So we highly recommend Rena. Maybe she'll come on my show soon.
It's a very good idea. Yes.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. If there is no questions, then we can continue talking forever, I'm sure, because we're so cool. But thank you, Rena, for listening in. I'm so happy that you came. Let me just see if I missed anybody here. Yes, stable is a good word. Nicole agrees.
Yeah. And I let you know the daughter-in-laws are very often very cluey. Sometimes more, sometimes, and it's a generalization. Some sons are in denial, and sometimes the mother might tell the daughter-in-law something that they perhaps wouldn't tell their son, etc. Right. So I've been actually approached by a few daughter-in-laws and had a family consultation, and it was amazing. And that we were able to then everyone went on the WhatsApp group. In the past, just the brothers were on the group, and all the wives got on board too. And because the wife said, "Oh, your mother tells me stuff that she perhaps wouldn't have told you." So it's more well-rounded that way.
Yes. And I'm really grateful that me and my mother-in-law are very close, because we also have, 4 boys. My husband's one of 4 boys. So,
wow.
So it really is. It's such a special relationship because she doesn't actually have a daughter. So I really enjoy that. And that makes me very happy.
Same with my mother-in-law also.
That's great. Yeah, it really is. Okay, I can see the Facebook comments, but not the chat. Yeah, I meant the comments, but also we have some people on YouTube. And so I don't know, I think maybe theirs looks like a chat. I'm not sure. You can ask any questions. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
So I just wanted to say, another family I was working with, for instance, and that was the thing, that the father was on his own and someone needed to be stayed with, and it was happening far too often. And until you get a foreign worker, and you had to point out that there is having a Yad Sarah, the alarm button, and that if they know how to use it, to use it, and then that you. And that will call you.
Right. My grandmother got one, and then it stopped working, so she just got fed up with it. But yeah.
Right.
Oh no, are we losing internet? Okay, we have a question here. Dr. Lilach wants to know, can you talk about depression in seniors and how that affects?
Well, I'm not a doctor. You can usually see the way they're acting, and that's when they have to go to and perhaps they need, I mentioned actually earlier, apart from medication to deal with depression, and the importance of them having a very active, a routine and a schedule. Okay, I know now is crazy time with Corona. I think if anything, the loneliness, the bdidut, is going to get them more before Corona does. But it's so important going to these groups, the Golden Age centers, and getting out and meeting other people. It's just so important. And depression is that's something that we have to be on the ball to keep our eyes open, and sometimes you don't realize it at first. They're all being suddenly very negative, and once it could have been medication they're on, or because of their situation.
Right. So Sharon was just saying sometimes the meds cause the depression, and we said that in the beginning. Sometimes you have to really keep an eye on the medication that they're on.
The polypharmacy, and that's why occasionally it's worthwhile. I know some of the Kupot Cholim here in Israel, they have a pharmacist that you can go and check your medication, or you go to a geriatric doctor and they can check out your medication. I remember my late mother, when she was in rehab for some operation, And the geriatric doctor, he looked at her, he took her off most of her medication that she was
Wow.
being taken for ages. It was so unnecessary. So it's something to look at, and antidepressant helps.
Okay, we have a question here. How does one care and help a parent who is disrespectful?
Oh,
such a good question.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have all the answers. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult.
I would like to suggest that, in that situation, we really have to work on our response. So instead of becoming reactive and letting ourselves lose our calm, we turn it around and we say, I want him to be respectful. I want me to be respectful, and absolutely. I don't need him to be respectful. It's his life. And he's, frustrated right now. He's going through stuff, whatever. It's his problem. So first of all, don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about him or her, whatever, them.
Right.
And second of all, what can I do to stay in my ground? Not to lose my calm, my place in this, situation, because we tend to lose ourselves when suddenly it's like, parents should be respectful. It's like, no, parents are human, they're human just like we're human, and they lose it sometimes and we lose it sometimes. It's really hard for them to have their ground shake and suddenly be different, and things aren't the same like they used to, and they're feeling like they're not as in control of their lives as they used to. Things are going slower for them. Whatever it is that's going on, just giving them that empathy of, it's okay. You don't have to be respectful, but I can still control myself and I can still be respectful. I think that will just completely change your being with them, because it's no longer about trying to fight reality.
Unless it's a very toxic relationship, there's something, that perhaps has been going on for years. And
of course, usually we have things that we're just, piling on top of, because don't forget, these are our parents. So we have things that we still remember from when we were 7, that they didn't give us the shoko we wanted. And that, when I was 12, they didn't make me the party I wanted. And I was 17, they didn't let me go to the thing I wanted. And all my friends were jumping off the wall, so I wanted to also, and they didn't let me. And whatever things you pile on, and you're so involved in your own movie of all the things they did to me or did wrong or whatever. So it's something that really has to happen within you to clear out, to heal, to forgive, so that you can really be in that perfect place, to be in that place of really, this is what I need to do right now. I need to be present. I can't be living in the past. I can't be living in my movies. It's really, that, in my opinion, would be one of the, advice that I would give. Just really do your work, instead of saying oh, I wish they would do their work and I wish they would, be more this.
We said that at the beginning. They're not going to change. They're not going to change. So it's up to us how we deal with a certain situation. We just got to try maybe showering them with love, or even though it's not easy. I'm not saying it's simple like that.
It's not easy at all. It is not easy. And knowing that it's not easy and you're not alone is one of the most important things. I know my sister is very, her thing is about hearing loss and parents with kids with hearing loss. It's so important to have the understanding that you're not alone, and there is an entire, group that is going through it together. You're not the only parent who had a child with a hearing loss. So same thing, you're not the only person going through this. Find other people and, create relationships that will actually give you support. So instead of calling a friend who doesn't get it, try finding friends who do get it and can tell you what maybe works for them, or give you a little bit of chizuk, a strength that will fill you up and not just drain you and you feel like you're complaining all the time. Find ways to support yourself, because that's really part of self-care.
Right. And they're also in the workshops, we that group dynamics, people are able to sort of help each other, or otherwise you have to get perhaps professional help. to some things as well.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So Judith said, I don't know if it can go on. Does it? Yes. You guys can see this. So in the Netherlands, they have a coffee corner in the supermarkets, and they serve their own brand of coffee for free. Often the elderly go sit there, and the market, the people, the staff will go and sit with them for a coffee break, which I think is so beautiful.
Oh, amazing.
Is the best medicine, because sometimes it's just about taking a break and giving them a call or sitting down and talking to them and listening to their stories. Now my daughter is doing her project, her Avodat Shorashim for the bat mitzvah. They have to research the family. And with my older daughter, it was much easier. We went, we saw pictures, we sat down, we listened to stories. Now it's a little bit harder. It's not as easy to get them on Zoom and to tell, their personal story to a phone. So it gets a little bit more complicated. But even so, once you go out of your way to listen, a lot of times they will tell stories and open up and feel purposeful.
Because later on, when they've gone, it's too late, and you can't just get that recipe. Or how was that dress made, or who's in this picture, Bifla? Because I'm finding pictures and I've no idea who these people are, and it's such a shame. And to cash in while we can, it's very important.
I would like, before we close, my grandfather passed away a couple of years ago, and since my wedding until he passed away, he started going downhill with Parkinson's. And so me and my cousins who are sort of my age, all of us older cousins, we remember our grandfather a certain way. And then everyone who's younger really just remembers him as like unable to speak, shaking, in a different way. And
Right.
So one of the beautiful things is when we can really, just within our generation gap, like the older cousins to the younger cousins, when we can just tell our stories and remember memories, I think that's something that really is one of those, like, like you were saying, a difficulty of like, you're seeing someone become someone he's not. And like, how do you deal with that?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, tell us about your workshops, or what do you do? How do you?
Okay. I have, I've got one coming up. I don't know if you can see this here, by the very talented Aviva Cohen. So I've got a Zoom workshop, a virtual workshop, creatively caring for your aging parents, and topics: aging and dignity, keeping safe, active listening, decision making, taking care of the carer, and more. And that's starting on, please God, Wednesday, the 3rd of February. So I'll put my email, anyone interested, I'll put my email address in there, and you can contact me, and I'll send you a flyer. So yeah, you're welcome. Pass on the word, not just for women, also men. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, this is really one of those conversations that you need everybody at the table. You really have
absolutely.
to all be involved, and as much as you can all just honestly be, open about it. Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon Altschul is here. She's thanking us, which is so fun. Thank you, Judith, for telling us about the Netherlands supermarket coffee. I love that story.
It's such a great idea.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's a fabulous idea. It's very good. But so the thing is to try to like maybe preempt situations, and as much as we can to and if our parents are going away for the weekend or whatever, make sure they've got all their medication that they're going, and to make things easier. So hang on, what's Alana's writing up here?
Yeah, so she's saying, talk about too late, when the family of a family member passed away, and already the mother had passed away before. The person was sobbing at the funeral because they don't have that commandment of honoring your parents anymore. And that really reminds us that this is very temporary. Don't forget that You know, sometimes it feels like this is going to last forever and it's taking over my life and I don't know what to do next. I'm just feeling so overwhelmed. And don't forget that it really doesn't last that long. And
unfortunately not. I can tell you that.
yeah,
Unfortunately
and a
not.
lot of times we get so lost and feeling like it's forever that we don't actually take the, the
Take full
pause.
advantage of what we can, while they are with us.
So thank you, Ilana, for
So
that
true.
reminder. It's so important. You know, it's like that in everything in life. If we can remember that things are just temporary, it's easier to go through. Like COVID, for example, is
Absolutely.
temporary, guys. It's gonna be gone.
Right, or the terrible twos, or when the kids are younger. The same thing. It's a certain time, period of time, and it's not forever.
And
And
I don't remember who said, but they said, and don't forget that the good times are also temporary. You know, sometimes you think something will last forever, and so you don't appreciate what is when it's good. So it's really important to just get in that practice of being in the moment and not worrying too much about what's going to be next because it's not really serving you. It's not
no,
helping you.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for all the cheerleaders that were here today.
Thank you.
For all those who participated in the comments, I love when you do that because it really enriches our conversation. Thank you to Lisa for coming and for giving from her expertise.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And 1 second, we have a private message. Oh, I have the email of Lisa. I'm going to put it
That's
in the comments.
So
What?
if anyone's
That's not the email?
interested in a workshop, I also do private consultations, family, getting everyone. And we even had one where one of the siblings were abroad and we're able to discuss things, and was an opportunity for everyone to come on board, everyone to air themselves and with an objective person in the room.
There you go. I figured it out.
Thank you, Bat-Chen.
I'm so happy I was able to see that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicole. I love that you come and you cheer me on. It makes me so happy. I will say this every single live because Nicole is in almost every single one of my videos. Sharon also says thank you to Lilach for the awesome video. So thank you. You are fantastic. And the whole concept of being well-rounded is just blow my mind. Next week we are having an awesome live again, like as usual. They're all amazing. We are going to have Devorah Gila Berkowitz, is that her name? And she is going to be talking a lot about the balance between work and life and how we can really find room for everything and how to make it all really amazing. So we're going to be talking about that. Thank you, Bryna, for coming and for saying well done. That's so fun. And as usual, if you have this amazing desire to make your marriage much better and take it from mediocre or just parv to awesome and amazing and wonderful and sparkly and, joyful and whatever other great words you want to tack onto your marriage, you can be in touch with me. I am taking clients now. And you can find me at ConnectedForReal.com. So, yes, Nicole, thank you for being here. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you all. Thank you, Lisa.